Hello, thank you so much for staying throughout the day. It's been such an awesome combination of things. It's been so much fun. Now I'm happy to see everyone here for movie time. This is very exciting for me. Yeah, I'm originally from New Mexico, but I've lived in Bozeman for 4 years now. Moved there for my MFA degree, and now I'm finding myself here. I don't expect you guys to read this. This is kind of for me. But as Lizzie said, I like to make lyrical observational documentaries, so kind of like creating music out of the sound of the place. My main goal with my films is to really immerse people in the place that I'm in and sort of bring my own perspective as well. I have a huge emphasis on collaboration within my work, so having film participants take part in the entire process, from like obviously filming to editing and distribution, things like that. And yeah, so I am really excited to be at the bio station. I'll talk more about this later, but my background is science and natural history filmmaking, but the film that I'm going to screen for you today before the one that was made here is just a short film that I actually created for my MFA thesis, which came out of a sort of a happenstance, random situation. I actually was visiting family in Kathmandu at the time. I've had family there for like 50 years. And I had camera equipment because I was really interested in filming landscapes, the rhododendron, which is the national flower, and just because I tend to carry a camera around everywhere. But I actually ended up at this nunnery because my family member had to go to work. So he kind of just needed somewhere to leave me, basically. And so I was here with these women. I don't speak the language, so it was a really good, it was a good experience for me. And originally, I'm pretty tentative. You know, filmmaking as a practice, you know, can be exploitative. It can be transactional. It can be extractive if not done correctly. And so yeah, that was kind of like the mindset that I came in with. And then I talked a little bit to the head nun and you know, told her, you know, I was a film student and this is what I'm doing here. My family member is going to come back and get me in a couple of weeks and la la la. And Nawang, who's like the girl whose voice you hear in the film, was somebody that she knew would want to talk to me. And so she introduced us, and Nawang right away was like, oh, do you like YouTube? I love YouTube. And I was like, yeah, I like YouTube too. And she was just like excited, and so we kind of like became unlikely friends. Her English was pretty good, way better than my Tibetan or Nepali, because I don't speak the language. But she just kind of like brought me along places, and eventually I got used to like the groups of nuns that would be in a certain place at a certain time, and so I kind of just went around with her. And yeah, and so throughout that experience, like I started filming, and I thought, you know, how can I both like bring my voice into this and also elevate the voice of somebody else without necessarily speaking for somebody else or, you know, talking about someplace else or someone else, you know, preaching in that sense. And so what I tried to do here was like use like a fragmented style to kind of mimic like my feelings of like, oh, like, you know, this is a new place. I'm not really, you know, exactly sure of my surroundings or why I'm going to this place with her. She's just kind of like bringing me along. And also I purposefully left a lot of things untranslated because there was a lot of things that I didn't understand, and at a certain point I think that I didn't really need to, or certainly didn't need to share in the film. But Nawang obviously, like, you know, wanted to share her story. And in terms of like the participatory aspect of my practice, I kind of interviewed her in an interesting way than I usually do. Usually when I interview people, I have a prescribed list of questions and things like that. For Nawang, I was like, you know, what do you want to talk about? And I had a few where I was like, oh, is there anything you learned in school that was interesting, things like that. to which she shared like the folklore piece and everything like that. So that's kind of how all this came to be, and I learned a few, this was the area that I was. Actually, the monastery itself isn't on the map, but this was kind of where it was made. And these are just kind of the things that I learned that I decided that I wanted to then like pivot my thesis to this sort of thing, so I could write about it in my paper, and talk about like how this affects me as a filmmaker, affects the field, and things that I'm not an expert on in any sense, but just things that I am continuing to wonder about as I continue working. And I'm still in touch with Nawang, which is fun. Hopefully now this film is, I'll move to, well, okay, I want to make sure I do justice to these things. Yeah, I guess for the reflection piece, that is something that I want to carry. I mean, all of this I want to carry through into my future work, but making the audience feel how I felt is a big strategy that I think I also want to play with. The reception for this film has been, I don't want to say surprising, but I'm really honored that so many people have taken to it. It screened yesterday at Santa Fe, which is my home state, so all my family was there, which was really wonderful. Mountainfilm was a particularly special screening because I got to open for a feature film that was filmed in Nepal, and all the people that were, I guess all the women that were in that film were able to come all the way from Nepal for their screening, so getting to program with them was really amazing. And they happened to know my family, which was like crazy too. So it's been really wonderful as like this is the only piece of work I've ever made, so being able to share this so widely already has just been such a huge honor for me, and to share it here is something I've been looking forward to for a really long time. So I'm hoping it can live in a few places permanently. There's a woman that saw it at one of these festivals who provides mammograms for nuns in Tibet, because she's from there, but she's based in Michigan, so I'm hoping that she wants it and she wants to share it, so that would be a really great avenue for this, I think. I also definitely want to bring it back to the nuns for its like final home, and yeah, if I could make it back to Nepal, that'd be great. I don't know when that's going to happen, but that would be great too. So, just to pivot a little bit, so now that I've been here, my degree is Science and Natural History Filmmaking, and I clearly veered from that. I mean, I still was really interested in like the eco-feminine perspective of like, you know, these women had all of these like practices and rituals that were so connected with their environment that was just like rooted in spirituality, versus like in the West it's it's just a little bit different, and so I found that really interesting, and the way they lived in like a ecologically almost like harsh environment, so minimalistically. So anyway, but I was excited here to actually return to like wildlife and science type of content. I didn't know what to expect coming here. I was super open to everything, but I did take specific interest in the owl research happening. I saw a post about it either on FLBS or Open Air, both, that they would be here, and so I immediately just started pursuing them, and just saying like, hey, can I see what you do? And they were super open to having me there, which I'm really, really thankful for. Zach and Haley are the two people I've primarily been working with. I did have one day with Kylie there, that was really fun, and Krista, one of the volunteers. So that's kind of what I have channeled my like productive time. I guess I don't really like using that term here anymore, but like actually when I've been working on something from here, it's been like kind of owl-centered, but I really have been collecting all sorts of sights and sounds like from this place. Like I used my underwater microphone one day. I've been doing lots of wind and like, you know, bird calls in the day. Last night I was filming and a bat just like flew through my frame, and I was like, So just like spending lots of time, like I've been trying to go every day, it hasn't totally happened. But yeah, just collecting, and the times with the owl research have been really great. Like, I mean, they stay up from like, first night I went, started at like 8:30 and we finished at like 3:30. And I, of course, like wanted to stay the entire time, so I was just like really excited. So I put together a proof of concept, so just like the style and general vibe of what I think I want to go for if I expand this into a longer project, which I'm hoping to do. I did get to sit with Haley for an interview, which was wonderful. So I'm going to continue to film next week, but yeah, this is sort of just like a little taste of what I'm looking to do. So, if someone wouldn't mind getting the lights.
Thank you, George.
So that was 5 minutes. I'm hoping the final film will be somewhere around 10 to 15. I haven't incorporated the interview with Haley yet. And yeah, I have a few other like things that I'm still filming, but this is just like kind of the vibe that I want to go for, like bringing my like style in and like the observational thing, playing with like how much information to give people, which is going to be a new challenge with science because that's like its own, you know, you don't want to like, there's a line between like, you know, experiential, sensory, and like putting in necessary information, so I'm excited for that challenge. But yeah, I'm thinking like 10 to 15 minutes would be a good length.
I have a question. What is the significance of the owl for you?
Oh yeah. That's a really good question actually. So I've only seen like one owl in my whole life. It was a great horned owl that was nesting in my backyard. But my mom is really like really into owls. And she, you know, she's really fun. She's like, you know, she thinks like our relatives have come back as animals and things like that, and like, you know, whether or not she really thinks it or she just kind of like says it all the time. But I think honestly, I mean, it's been like on a personal note, my mom like was diagnosed with cancer this year, and I think like in a way, like the owls have been on my artist like studio visit. Carrie had asked, is this, you know, bringing you closer to your mom? And I was like, yeah, I think so, actually. Like, and just the interest and like the whimsy associated with owls, I think definitely ties back to her. So, and for me, like actually I've seen 2 owls in my life, but it was the same scenario, which was really interesting, where I was like hearing a Cooper's hawk just like go absolutely berserk in a tree. And I was like going over to investigate, and I was like, what is going on with that bird? And I was like, oh, there's a great horned owl right there. And so, yeah, my owl journey is just beginning, I think. But I think definitely has a lot to do with my mom. With that, I didn't even really realize it, but she's been so excited that I'm doing this. Like, I've been updating her, and she's like, oh my god, like, it's so fun, and they're so cute. So it's been really fun to like talk to her about this while I've been up here. So yeah, that was kind of like a long-winded answer, but yeah.
Question.
Yeah.
So like the owls, they don't freak out. They're just like, oh yeah, you can measure me. Oh yeah, you can look at one of my feathers.
Totally. Yeah. So I talked to them about this, and she does like discuss in her interview, like they've done studies where, you know, they're definitely stressed during this process. Like they've tested their cortisol, like to see. And I think their response is just to kind of like freeze up a little bit. And they're like, you know, the more like feistier ones that I saw, you know, they'll, you know, they might flap, but it's not, but it's more like when they're, yeah, I'll show again. But it's like when they're walking them back, they said that they feel like the air in their face, and it's kind of, they're like, oh, okay, it's time to like take off now. So when they're releasing the back, you do kind of like, you know, let them feel like the wind on their face. So you'll see them like when they're walking sometimes like raise their wings a little bit and try and take off. But they were like surprisingly chill. Like the one that she was riding, and I was just kind of watching her ride, and yeah, it wasn't really anything like I was expecting in terms of like, yeah, the owl's behavior. And yeah, they take the feather like for DNA, so they like pull one of them, and then the pink is actually like there's a chemical in the wings called porphyrins, I think is how they're pronounced, and it's like basically when they've recently replaced a feather that's like newer, it's that chemical is going to glow pink under the UV light. And so that's how they tell, like, you know, how old. Sometimes they can sort of age the bird that way, but they can tell, like, you know, how many feathers it's replaced from. Because they're forest birds, they do get kind of banged up just in their day-to-day life, it seems like. But yeah, super surprising and interesting that the owl is just kind of, I mean, they are, I assume, probably just kind of like in shock a little bit.
Like when they're measuring him, it's like, he's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Put your head back down.
Yeah, they're really like, they eat, I mean.
Where do you find all the owls?
Yeah, so I found them because I thought the speaker was real. And so the first week that I was here, I was going out every night looking for this owl. Because, like, I don't know anything about how they do this. So I was searching for them on the nature trail at night, which was kind of spooky. But that's where they do the research. They have this big trailer, like deep in the woods on the nature trail. So it's right nearby in the woods. And that's where they all gather because they hear the speaker and they fly in and they hit the nets basically. And they check them every half hour to see, like, you know, who's in there. So they're all kind of around, but they do gather to this one spot because they hear the speaker, and that's how they get them there.
So do they only catch females then?
Occasionally they said they catch males, but it's mostly female. And they speculate that, like, that might be because females are, like, more inclined to migrate and move, while the males, like, stake out their place for, like, the season, or you know, obviously could be, like, related to the call, but they're not exactly sure. That's what I think. This is going to be such an interesting species to look into because there's a lot of unanswered mysteries with them still, which I find really fascinating. And yeah, that's one of them. They're not really sure, like, why or, like, how much the male call affects the amount of females that they catch.
So are there, like, legends about this particular owl, this particular species?
I'm sure there are. Yeah, that's something that I'm hoping to. It also, like, I'm sure it depends, like, culturally, like, but yeah, that's actually not something I know about quite yet.